3, 2, 1. Yeah, we ready right now. Got me feeling so free.
Welcome back to the Side Quest Hustle. I'm your host, Shad. Thank y'all for joining me today. On the podcast, we talk about anime, manga, TV, movies, and more. You can find us on the Side Quest Hustle on all social medias and all streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you consume your podcast. And this week, I have another guest interview. EDM DJ, producer, musician out of Killeen, Texas, NoEyes.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, man. Can you plug your social medias and booking information where people can find you?
Yeah, Instagram is the best way. My Instagram is NoEyes, like NoEyes, .mega, N-E-G-A. My SoundCloud is NoEyes_mega. I am on Spotify, it's just NoEyes, but because of sampling, all my stuff is on SoundCloud. And then that's pretty much it. You know, if you want to do any type of booking, anybody, my email is noeyesallcries@gmail.com. You know, so that'd be it.
Cool. So talking to you earlier, NoEyes, you were saying that with being a DJ, anime influences your sets. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's really important, man, for any artist, whether you're a dancer, musician, painter. I mean, the whole point, you can see anybody's art, so what makes you different, right? Even podcaster, actor, why should I come see you? Why should I enjoy what you do? And so obviously anime, for that to happen, anime would have had to, you know, always said we're the Naruto, sure. It inspires my lifestyle. I have anime tattoos. Just growing up the way I did, I really latched onto anime, Japanese culture, things like that. It was so interesting. By kind of, you know, inspiring my life, especially things like Berserk, a lot of the more raunchier, kind of dirty animes, I guess isekai, they call them. Because I kind of did live somewhat of a horror lifestyle, I can relate to those characters, you know what I mean? Not your everyday, like, slice of life animes, but the ones where even though he's battling aliens, you know, he's given everything he has. And so I think the things that I've been through in life, I like that more aggressive, harder style of music. That's what I like to really make up. I like to DJ and listen to. So it was almost always natural for me to kind of, you know, if I was doing a different genre like house, it might be a little bit confusing, right? So I try to have some type of cohesive type of direction with the anime as well.
You mentioned Naruto and Berserk.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first anime that you really got into that really made you a fan?
Man, if I'm being honest, and I think I could say the same for a lot of people, it was Pokemon. You know what I mean? To me, that was an American Saturday cartoon. I didn't know what manga was. I knew we had Pokemon cards. I thought the writing was like cool. You know, they got unknown. I thought it was like little lines. I didn't know what Japanese was. And then naturally, so Pokemon, obviously, as you get older, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with liking that, but like I said, that's my life experiences. Dragon Ball, I think, was the most influential. I mean, that's your typical shonen. It inspired so many other things as well. And then, you know, Dragon Ball Z, not really Dragon Ball myself, personally. I wasn't really just so much of a Dragon Ball guy.
I think for me, I watched Dragon Ball, the original. I think I was an adult. It was after college. I didn't even know. I thought the series began with Dragon Ball Z. When I was an adult, it was when I discovered manga and I discovered the Dragon Ball, the manga, the original manga, and I was like, what is this? And then I saw that there was an anime, and I was like, so wait, the story didn't start with, you know, like Raditz kidnapping Gohan.
Yeah.
There's actually like the story of Goku as a kid, and so I went back and watched it all. But yeah, like you, I know a bunch of people. I mean, with Toonami, DBZ was, and they never knew that there was an original Dragon Ball that was sort of, you know, the story before all of that. How has anime music shaped your artistry?
I remember from the first time I ever started producing, like the very first track I ever made. And this is before I looked up any tutorials. I was just kind of like placing different sounds, and I sampled a Madara during the Fourth Shinobi War when he's like, "This is not power of your creation." He's like putting Kabuto in the deck, right? I thought that was, I think goosebumps even thinking about it. That's just like the coldest line. Like he's saying like, this isn't, yeah, you reanimated me, but this is my hard work. This is my pain. This is my life. I'm a Uchiha. I'm Madara. And so that, to me, that's like, damn, when I want to get on the scene, that's like, yeah, I mean, you know, nobody never had fault, but I want it to be like, you know, I'm not no Nepo baby. I'm not a plant. Like, blood, sweat, and tears, just like anyone else would for their thing. I would say that's more on the surface level, or that's more like on the deeper level. On a surface level, really, I love putting in different vocal samples, like Zawardo from JoJo. I even have like Guts yelling Griffith, you know what I mean? Different things like that. I'm still trying to figure it out. In the beginning, I was trying to do it too much, you know what I mean? I figured now it's best to, while I'm still trying to get a fan base, I'm really trying to figure out what do I want to do. Just kind of throw it in tastefully, whether it's like, I had someone on Fiverr, I had them, like, someone who speaks Japanese from Japan say, like, omae wa mo shinderu. Like, try to get those vocal things in there from my own inspiration without having to, you know, kind of copycat what is already out there.
I know music in anime it's one of those things that will attract people to the anime, like the Bluebirds from Naruto, or more recently, specials from JJK. I mean, I think, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the Peruvian Navy or Coast Guard or something like that. They had a viral TikTok that was, they basically recreated the JJK intro. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Is there any opening or closing music from anime specifically that you would say is your favorite?
Specifically, my favorite, my favorite song is it would be like, you ever played Naruto Storm? I forgot which one it was, but it was like you play different people during the story, and at the end, the special unlockable character was Killeen, and so every time he beats him up, he's doing like a little bit of a rap. You know what I mean? To me, that was like, I was like, dang, man, like I got it, because I was already a dancer, but I was like, dang, like he's, you know, like I got the like the Killeen, his face with the Wu-Tang right here, Killeen type shit. So like, I was so inspired, man. But one actual ending, I can't remember if it was ending or opening. It was a "What's Up People" by Maximum Hormone from Death Note. That one, I still listen to them from this day, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know why, it's crazy. One of the things that I recently discovered was those people go on tour, like performing those openers and closers and everything. And I had no idea, but yeah, they rock out in front of a crowd. And I mean, it's like sold out stadiums and sold out venues where, you know, they're performing these different openers or closers, and like it's serious. I mean, it's their art for them, it's their music for them. And it was just something I never really thought of. I was thinking, you know, they made this and this is for the show, and that's kind of that. No, they take it on tour.
I didn't even think about that, but now that you mention it, yeah, I guess they have to be artists. You know, they'd be artists too.
Yeah, and I know more recently, some American artists, like I think it was like One Direction that did the Kaiju number 8 opening. And there's a few other American artists and bands that have done some openings for anime. Given that opportunity, what's an anime that you would want to maybe do an opener or closer for?
I want to do, if I could produce anything, obviously Berserk. You know, when it comes to tear out is like the hardest form of dubstep, you know, that we have right now. Berserk is one of the hardest anime, right? So it kind of like, man, but I don't know, because I'm still trying to figure out what I like to do. You know, I've changed so many times, man, but I would have to go back to Samurai Champloo, to be honest. If they ever made like a season 2, something like that, it would have to be Samurai.
That's one of the most underrated. I mean, just the fight scenes and the music. Man, that's probably my favorite soundtrack for an anime. And it's one of those where it's the recommendation that I normally give the people when they're like, they want to try something, but they maybe not be an anime fan. And I'm like, this is a short one. I think it's like 24 episodes. It has good music. It has good fight scenes. The story progresses. There's no filler. Yeah, it's one of those. It's a sleeper, man.
Oh, for sure.
Not a lot of people include it when they make their top 10 and top 20 list, but I definitely think it needs a little bit more respect than that. And maybe it was the time it came out. I don't know, but.
So I don't know. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 34.
Okay, so I just turned 30 this year. So that came out in 2004. I was probably about 10 years old. So you're about high school, 14, 15. When it comes to around that time, what anime was really coming out like that? Maybe you can enlighten me, because you're right. Samurai Champloo is slept on.
And that was the time Naruto came out maybe a year or so before that. One Piece had been out for a couple of years. Bleach had been
Yeah.
out for a couple of years. Man, if I'm not mistaken, I think Dragon Ball Z was still in its original dub run in America. I'm not.
Okay.
Think that I'm not sure if it was overshadowed by those. I know Gundam was really big then. Yeah, I'm thinking it may have been overshadowed just by
That's a good
those. And I
point.
don't, because I know a lot of people's introduction to anime was Toonami.
Yeah.
I believe at that time that's when Toonami had shifted from being a daytime show to coming on here in Central Time. I believe that was 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if I remember right, man, the first shows that came on Toonami at that late night hour, Dragon Ball Z, maybe Gundam, Naruto. And so by the time they finish those 3 shows, it's already 11:30.
Yeah.
That's what I'd probably imagine, man. It was just a timing thing, and you really had some heavy hitters that were getting popular at that time. You had Naruto coming out, and it was getting popular. One Piece was out, and it was picking up steam. Bleach was out. Gundam was still really popular at the time. I'm trying to think of what else was out around that 2004-ish time.
I think you definitely hit it on the head. Because I would say the first 10 years of my life, I was dealing with so much I wasn't really aware. I just knew I liked certain things, right? But yeah, I mean, like you said, Naruto came out a year before. Naruto's been hot since the jump. If I remember right, Samurai Champloo had kind of a weird time slot on Adult Swim. It was like around that like after midnight kind of cusp, and then it restarted the whole night. So it was like, yeah. Because Paranoia Agent, people seem to really know Paranoia Agent more than Samurai Champloo. Paranoia Agent was on it was on 30 minutes after Samurai, so I don't know. I just know I liked it, so I must be weird, you know what I mean?
And I'm wondering too if it was what in Central Time that was midnight, East Coast that would have been 1 a.m. And I'm wondering if Paranoia Agent, if it was that morning, because if I'm not mistaken, Toonami ran until like maybe 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's right around the time where people on the East Coast would be getting up for school. Because for them, it would be like 6, 7, and they're catching that. I remember that as well on the back end, depending on what time I woke up, I would catch some of those things like Big O and what was another one?
I forgot about Big O.
Yeah, the Mech Batman.
Yeah. with the maid.
Yeah.
With the red hair.
Yeah, that's one that's man, I feel like Toonami had a bunch of sleepers that were really good that they kind of got overshadowed just because what else was coming on at the time. I think when they started airing Big O, Gundam was still airing, and Gundam was the hot thing at that time with toys and everything like that, but Big O was a little bit darker. I mean, even the aesthetics, it really gives you the Batman vibe. He's driving around in his black car, solving crimes, solving mysteries, all at the same time, fake, hunting himself.
Yeah. That's crazy. Man, you bring up some classic memories, man, because I forgot. I mean, I feel like nowadays everything's so viral. The internet has made everything so connected that it's like, unless someone else says something, you probably won't even pick up on it, right? Like for me and you, we know Big O was a thing, but even though I knew Big O was a thing, I didn't forgot about it until you brought it up, you know what I mean? So I think it's almost natural. I'm just used to liking things that no one else has really cared about or really been put onto yet.
Yeah, I feel like that with Tower of God. Tower of God, the anime is already premiered, and I think they picked a good time to re-air it in the summer when there's not a lot of anime going on, and so it kind of stands out because I mean you got Fairy Tail, but people have their feelings about Fairy Tail, and you had to have watched the original series to understand the 100-Year Quest. There's a couple of slice of life anime, but slice of life isn't for everyone. I mean, I know for me, I've recently gotten into some of the slice of life animes, but I haven't always been the biggest fan of. But yeah, and so I think now Tower of God is getting some shine because of because of when it was released.
Mhm.
But I feel like some animes as well, like Big O, Samurai Champloo. What else? Zoids was another one.
So this is clean.
Yeah, but it's one that doesn't necessarily get brought up. There hadn't been any remakes, but I thought it was a solid anime at the time.
Oh yeah. I think nowadays I tend to notice with the generation coming after me with anime. I remember saying this a while ago. I felt like obviously technology gets better, so everything else improves, but also some things get lazier. And I feel like a lot of the times it's easy to hide behind really great animation and really great art and like having really good fights, but like that story element kind of really isn't there the same way now. I feel like it's more formulaic. We know they want to cry, we know they want to feel something, and they want to be angry at the villain. There's and other things too. But back then it was like, man, I can't, we don't have all this time and cells and technology to have all these dope ass colors. We need a good story. That's just the way I saw it. Even things like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, like those things were groundbreaking for their time. And you can say that they're a big reason why anime is popular in the US today. They're not as physically appealing and they're kind of boring if you're not into them. You know what I mean? If you have that true love for it. So it's just like a double-edged sword, you know what I mean, for me personally.
No, I definitely feel on that because for me, Akira was the first anime I ever watched.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think I had to have been like 7, maybe 8 years old, and just searching channels, and I saw a cartoon on a channel that I don't normally see a cartoon. It was on the Sci-Fi channel. They used to have an anime block. Yeah,
Really?
it was like every night. I want to say from like maybe 8 to like 11 or 9 to midnight or something like that. And I caught Akira, and it took a while before I ever watched the whole thing in one sitting. I would always catch either like the beginning, like fall asleep, or I would catch it in the middle, like the very first time I watched it. Man, it probably had to have been maybe halfway through, maybe a little bit more, because it was when Tetsuo was escaping from the hospital.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that was the very first time I watched it, and that's what caught my attention, was him escaping from the hospital. And I was like, man, this wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before. The shows that were on Cartoon Network at the time, they did not have action like that. They did not have violence like that. At like 7 or 8, it probably was something that I probably shouldn't have been watching. But man, I was hooked after that. And then it was Ghost in the Shell, Evangelion. What else did they have? They had there was a Starship Trooper anime.
The CGI ones?
Yeah. No, it wasn't a CGI one.
Oh, shit.
There was a Starship Trooper anime that was made in Japan in 8, I want to say.
So Starship Troopers, it's a Japanese IP.
No, it's American.
It's American?
If
Okay.
I'm not mistaken, it's American.
Okay.
Maybe European. But they made a Starship Trooper anime before they made the Starship Trooper movies or anything. It was like in the 80s in Japan. I watched the CGI one too, because the CGI one would come on in the morning, so I would catch it every morning before school on I think it was on Sci-Fi too. It was either Sci-Fi or like Fox. But yeah, I caught that too. But yeah, that was one. And they had a bunch of good shows that came on the Sci-Fi channel, like every night. I want to say from 9 to midnight, and then I think it moved to Saturday. And on Saturday, I believe it was like all Saturday night. It started at like 7 or 8 o'clock, and it just went on all night. That it got me hooked from there. When Toonami came around, I think Toonami aired maybe a year or two later. And they had the Sailor Moons, they had the Dragon Ball, they had Gundam. I actually watched Gundam before watching anything else. The time that I would get home, I would catch maybe the last 10 or 15 minutes of Dragon Ball Z and then Gundam. And so, I would watch Dragon Ball Z, but I wasn't watching a full episode of Dragon Ball Z. So it was like, I kind of know what's going on, but I'm missing the first 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But, you get a full hour of Gundam, and I was hooked on that. I still love Gundam to this day.
Damn, Gundam's tight. Gundam's one of the one, regrettably, I don't have much time invested. I did watch Iron Blood Orphans when that first dropped. That was amazing. But with me, it's kind of like the One Piece dilemma. Maybe even the Naruto dilemma. There's so much episodes and movies. Like, where do I start, you know?
With Gundam, I think, so one of the things that I discovered with Gundam and just searching, every Gundam series is separate. It's a separate timeline, separate universe. And they've tried to correct that a little bit here recently. Before these most recent movies, every Gundam timeline was different. And they had the same premise pretty much, but it was all different. None of them really tied. And there's no source material for Gundam.
Really?
It was a straight anime. They got popular. They created toys. The toys got really popular. But yeah, there's no manga for it. It just so that nobody has anything to pull off of.
And that probably works in his favor though. I only really see source material not being used more of like on the Western side. You know what I mean? Star Wars, I think is the one I can remember because Acolyte's getting a lot of attention right now with how it's being done. But like everything I hear, even superhero movies, it's like that source material argument. I don't do anything in movies, so I have no idea how that works, but it seems like a no-brainer to use the history that's already there. So it's kind of crazy for me to hear how well Gundam has been doing for how many decades, and there is no source material.
If I'm not mistaken, Gundam is going on about 5 decades.
Damn.
And they've been solid. I mean, even some of the most recent ones, The Witch from Mercury, they had the Hathaway movie series that are out. There was a Gundam Seed movie that was released earlier this year.
They got the unicorn one, right?
Yeah, the unicorn, the life-size Gundam models that they have in Japan, like those are solid attraction. And they've been able to maintain. There's the live-action Gundam movie that's coming. It's, I believe, Netflix. I believe it's next year, 2025 or 2026. I'd have to look
live action.
There's a live-action one that they're making, and I want to see how that works. I feel like Pacific Rim was a good mech live
it really
action.
was.
They I feel like they set a good foundation that Gundam could use a formula like that, just as far as telling a story where the mechs are part of the story and used, and the fight scenes are done perfectly to where it doesn't look the CGI isn't bad. And I feel like with an IP like Gundam, that they could drop a big budget on it and make.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even just to further your point, look at all the success Godzilla movies I had recently. Those are really just big ass organic mechs. You know what I mean? So if you can get that kind of CGI with -1, I haven't really seen them yet. I want to because I've heard they're getting close to Space Godzilla, so I kind of want to pop in that. But the CGI for, like you said, both Pacific Rims and then the Godzilla movies, I didn't think about it, but now might be the best time because there's such an interest on that big city, small, kind of like the Power Rangers. You got the monster and the mech. That whole thing it's kind of, I can see that being the new wave in the next couple of years, like you said.
So I want to kind of getting back to the music. So with your sets, have you had any fans, anyone at a set that you're performing, maybe approach you afterwards and was like, this brought me to a specific time period, this brought up a memory or a feeling, and you really helped them express it?
I think a lot of that tends to happen when you have somewhat of a decent sized following, and then you tend to have people in your following, and I hate using that word following because that I feel like as an artist I always want to have a more personal connection as much as I can with people. Obviously I don't know them, but I want to be more involved, shake hands after, if I ever do get that big. And I feel like from what I've experienced at festivals and shows, that's more of a personal thing, and a lot of the times that happens with artists, I feel, who are like bigger and they have that kind of following with them. For someone who's starting out, I mean, a lot of my true supporters right now are people that I've known since before I started DJing, or people that kind of met me at the beginning recently. I only started DJing in public maybe 6 months ago. I started training a year ago for it. And so I'm trying to figure out how to basically get people to do that. No one has really done it yet. People say they want to work with me. They say that this and that. And it'd be nice to collab, but no one's really came to me and be like, hey, you know what, that was life-changing, or... And it doesn't make me sad. I just think that that's my goal, is to kind of... I'm learning how to get that from people. You know what I mean? Right now, I can make them, hey, this song was dope. This song was what I needed. I sweated, I raged, I headbanged. But for someone to come and tell me, like, yo, this actually has impacted my life, or took me back to some place that I needed to go to, that's one of my goals for sure. Not yet.
No, I think that's a good goal to have. I know a lot of artists use it as a release. How has your music been a release for you?
Oh man, it's like therapy. I have it on some of my social medias that I make music for people who probably need therapy or something. And I have that kind of intentionally. It's not the best marketer, but when I first started raving, you know, I was going through a divorce. I had just got retired out the military, and that whole thing for me, the military wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Whether that's my fault or somebody else's. And so I'm kind of readjusting, kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I just got medically retired, and my marriage wasn't going the way that I wanted it to, so I was getting away from that. So I was in this very lost place of just trying to find myself. You know, I'm about to be almost 30, and I felt like I really hadn't done anything for myself at all. And so for me, it was more so about like, it's like that kind of, man, when you're so hurt and you have so much pain and you want to cry, and especially as a father, like, God forbid something happens, but as a father, I'm sure you come across as something in your head, you're like, damn, I don't want that to be for my kids, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of feeling inside of you. I was in that place of like, man, I just need to make something work. I just need to find my thing so I can keep living, because I do struggle with major depression and stuff like that. And I was like, dang, man, I'm so angry, and I'm coming to shows angry, and I'm on different substances, but I feel great even though I'm still angry. And so somehow, even though I don't want it to be, the music I listen to and I play, kind of still getting that out of me. I'm up there jumping around just like the crowd is jumping around. At the end of the day, a DJ is just a glorified Spotify. It's a glorified YouTube, SoundCloud. You can listen to anybody. You can play music yourself, really. But I'm going to give y'all the same energy that y'all are giving me. I'm going to show y'all great songs. At the end of the day, we gonna get that therapy. We gonna get that up out of us. You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
What anime, has there been any anime that you really connected with that helped you through maybe a difficult spot?
Yeah, for sure. The first one that pops off in my head, the Samurai Champloo, for sure. And I don't know why I didn't bring this up, because of when you mentioned any type of ending or OST, that really, the ending to Samurai Champloo by Minmi Shiki no Uta, man, my mother died when I was younger, right? And so listening to that, my mom's not Japanese, I'm not Japanese, you know what I mean? These things are killing people, so I like the show. But just hearing that and connecting with it, I don't know what she was saying at the time, but that, it'd be like, I would just sit down and cry and listen to it, man, and like just wish I had a better life and stuff like that. And that kind of feeling, like, that's always been the reason why I kept watching the anime. I used to weigh like 330 pounds before I joined the army, and I lost 130 all because, like, one day I watched Jiren talk about how his master died, his family died, and he worked his ass. He wasn't talented, he worked his ass off, you know what I mean? And I really revolted with that, and that was like, kind of like, you know, David Goggins, that like the dirty mentality of like, this is the hand I'm dealt, whether it's my fault or life, I'm a good after it. Same thing with Guts, you know what I mean? He was born in his mom's corpse. He's getting after it. So yeah, anything like.
If you had to recommend, you know, an anime for somebody going through a hard time, maybe something that you've experienced, what would you recommend?
The stuff that I experienced, I think I would recommend something different than the stuff that I found, only because it's really easy to get caught up in that negative mindset. You know, anime is great, and a lot of us learn really good lessons, but you know, you can focus on the bad, you know, because the difference between the good and the villain is the villain did bad stuff with his pain. Naruto didn't, for example. If I really had to get down on someone, that's hard, man, because everything I watch is like Death Note, you know, Berserk, like we said, the Dead Man's Wonder, man. let me get back to you on that. If anything pops up right now, but for people just going through stuff, you could literally pick an anime out of nowhere, and in anime is gonna have something where the main character is going through something, and they're just trying to. My Hero, I would say My Hero, because Deku was counted down, he had no quirk, and someone found him, took a chance, and he proved himself. You know what I mean? So I definitely relate with that as well. But I think that one, it's also kind of not childish enough, it's joyous enough for anybody to get into. You know what I mean?
Definitely. You know, one recently that I started watching, and I feel like it was sort of timely. Was Kaiju number 8.
Okay.
Yeah, with Kafka being the age that he was, and still wanting to achieve his dreams and still chase after his dream. Him meeting somebody younger and like, I'm in the same position you're in. I want to be a part of this too. You know, we can do this together. And so him going after it and basically using the skills that he had over time, because I think he had taken the test to join the Defense Force, you know, ever since he was old enough to, and he failed every single time. And at this point, you know, he's 30 plus, he still has this goal of doing it, and you know, he's at that point where, you know, like, I'm too old, I'm gonna give up. This isn't for me, it wasn't meant for me. And you know, that final push, and it wasn't anything dealing with his powers or anything like that. He got in based on his own merit. He was able to sort of achieve his dream in his own merit. I feel like for a lot of people who are around our age, you know, who late 20s, early 30s, maybe even late 30s, the story that's entertaining that they can listen to.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you saw my face kind of light up. From that first sentence you said, you know what I mean? That kind of describes somewhat of my journeys, my thought process getting into music. Because like, I didn't start when I was like 29, 28. And so I'm looking at everyone who's middle school age, high school age, college age. And they're like, they're dope. They're killing it. Dude, they're ready to go pro, whatever you want to call it, start making, you know, whatever you want to call it, and be famous or whatever. They're right there for whatever reason they haven't gotten it, but they're right there. They could do it. And I'm like, damn, I'm 30, about to be 30, and I'm like learning how to start. So I think off your, I know it wasn't a recommendation, but I'm definitely gonna have to pick up number 8 because that sounds good.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'll enjoy that one just based on that piece alone. And I mean, it's not, they talk about his age throughout it, and he talks about his age throughout it. These kids are everybody else is younger. They're 18, 19, 20 years old. They're running these miles and they're good. He's running it and he's about to die. The season finale was a good one. He saved everybody, and it was selfless. And the comment at the end was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to move after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I feel like it's relatable to a lot of people, and it's different. Most of the shonen anime, shonen mangas, the characters are, you know, they're either high school or just graduated high school.
Yeah, they're like the most Arnold Schwarzenegger looking high schoolers.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one, it's not. He's an average guy. He's an average guy. He had average guy, average job.
And I love hearing that, man, because like, I'm not a big manga person, not since I found out that anime was so prevalent. Last time I read manga was like, I think one of the first chapters in Naruto, like back in like 2005. And so, but I really resonated with like that whole, like, you know, Naruto was an orphan. You don't really know his story. Everybody hates the guy for whatever reason, but he's just trying to work. He has no talent. He's trying to work his ass off. And it didn't upset me. I understand that this was already probably determined before I even started watching it, but it was a little disheartening to learn that Naruto is like, it was basically destiny. Long story short, it was destiny. He comes from this long line of whoever. And I was like, damn, dude, like, he basically is like a Nepo baby without parents type of thing. So I think that's why I kind of am interested in Kaiju number 8 as well, but also I like Berserk because there is no, you know what I mean? It's just hard work, you know? Yeah.
I saw on your IG that you're a b-boy as well.
Oh yeah.
And b-boy is something that's been ingrained in African American culture. Man, what? Probably since the 70s, 80s.
Oh
What
yeah,
got,
oh yeah.
what got you into b-boy?
Oh man, I tell you, I started out doing like hip hop choreography, man. So with like 5, 6, and 1, and 2, Boys and Girls Club. Big shout out to Boys and Girls Club, was Chandler, Arizona. I feel like that really saved my life. Mindy Elias, Bernard Young, James Palmer, Geraldine Solis, and there's other people there, but like those 4 people gave me so many chances, man. And so it happened again at the Boys and Girls Club. You have different outlets. You had computers, sports, and like I was always intimidated by being only half black, because I grew up with my black side. I didn't know my Sicilian side at all. My father wasn't around, but I grew up with my black side. But obviously I could tell I was different. And so I just kind of always felt outcasted. And dancing was that one thing where it's like, yeah, it's hip hop dance and it's a little bit studio, but like people, we made hip hop. I don't know my roots from hundreds of years ago because, slavery, but I know that, black people created hip hop with some help. And then, so that to me, that was like getting in touch, getting to learn myself, right? Getting to find out who I was. Started doing choreography, man. And then I met this Filipino guy named Gabriel. He's a pastor now. He knew how to break. He moved to Arizona. And I was never that good at freestyling. Couldn't really dance. I could groove, but I couldn't dance. You know what I mean? I could do like party dances, Dougie, whatever. And he was like, let me show you something. And he taught me how to break. And researching more about break, I started learning more about black culture. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, figuring that out. And I guess, my family, because they knew I was black, I never expressed it. They never really, okay, let us teach you about like where you come from and stuff like that, It was just kind of like, you're black, we're black, whatever. But I always truly felt outcasted. I started learning about that and I'm like, dang, man, like, I feel like everything in this world is telling me that being black is like, you listen to politicians, like, oh, you need us because you're black and the world hates black people and this and that. Here's a cop. I was like, man, this is so empowering to me, learning how to break, learning about hip hop and the 4 elements. I really connected with myself, and I honestly cured a lot of internal racism doing that. So I'll always be grateful, I'll always be a b-boy. And from that, I just kept breaking because I was fat. People told me I couldn't, and then I just did it because people told me I couldn't do it. That's how I started breaking.
It's come so far now, from the Red Bull competitions to this year it's in the Olympics, and so that's one of the things I'm super excited. They have a couple of people from Texas actually competing in the Olympics with breakdancing. There's a guy out of Houston. I think 2 guys out of Houston who are going to be competing in the Olympics. So I'm definitely going to be tuned into that.
Oh yeah. Olympics gonna be tight.
What anime character do you believe would be a good b-boy?
Oh, Mugen. I mean, Mugen already breaks in the show. You know what I mean? It's crazy because it's like, honestly, the best thing about breaking is like, if you want to do all the cool tricks, having a good power to weight ratio. It's so hard, you know what I mean? It would have to be anyone who's a ninja, Naruto. Anyone in the Naruto verse is gonna kill it. I think people in Dragon Ball verse, they're just too stiff. They're just all be a big and running through stuff.
First one that came to my mind, I thought Rock Lee.
Oh,
like, yeah.
Oh yeah, Rock Lee. He be killer with the top rock. It's crazy because Rock Lee was like, he had Emery Taijutsu, right? Back when I was getting started, I could only top rock. I could try to do some other stuff, couldn't do any power moves. I was, my knees would hurt trying to do footwork. I could top rock, so I felt like, yeah, that whole, I got no talent, but I'm gonna work hard. Rock Lee, my boy.
Definitely. I mean, I think with anime, I mean, they're not really breaking, but here recently, with music being a big part of the anime, the openings and closings have become, I feel like, a good part of the production budget, because now they're getting like top bands. It was One Direction. One Direction was the group that did the opener and I think the closer for Kaiju number 8.
Damn,
but
okay.
Man, I want to say, thinking about it, I think Jujutsu Kaisen started it with their closer in season 1. It was the characters dancing to the music and everything, and now it seems like since in every new anime that's come out, they have a bop as either the opener and the closer, and the characters are dancing.
No, I think you're right on that one, man. I mean, obviously, if anime has inspired America so much, especially black characters. My one Asian friend, he's like, dude, I never realized black people were such weebs. Like, you guys love like animes. I was like, you know, now that you mention it, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's really natural for there to be some cross inspiration, right? And so obviously you see that in Samurai Champloo, especially with the producers. But then also like you said, that whole dancing thing. I mean, what is it? I think Chainsaw is the other one, right? And Chainsaw and JJK, the creators, they're friends. I know I saw one anime where they're jumping, but it's hard for me to say because a lot of the newer anime, I'm just not privy to, man. I'm just not. I don't like taking chances on slow starting animes and it not be good. Yeah, a lot of anime so much there. No one's really.
I'm thinking about music, even going back to some of the older animes. You made the comment about how a lot of black people watch anime and then back on it from whether it was Dragon Ball Z's opener, the One Piece, Naruto's. A lot of their music was hip hop themed. There was a lot of rap in it. On top of the fact that it was a lot of action, a lot of great stories that probably drew us in, and it was right at the ideal time when we were getting out of school. Yeah, and they had some dope music thinking about it back then. But yeah, it's one of those where a lot more people watch anime than I thought. And, you know, ever since I decided to start a podcast and I've started promoting got an episode, there have been a bunch of people who I grew up with, you know, been friends with for years and never knew that they were in the anime. And I mean, thinking about it, I had never really, up until maybe, I'd never really put out there that I was a huge anime fan. But yeah, with this podcast, there's been a lot of people who have messaged me of like, oh yeah, I've watched that and this, and I'm like, man, I didn't give that thing.
Oh yeah,
cool.
Let me ask you something, man. For you personally, has your enjoyment of anime, has that been an insecurity of yours in the past?
Not really. I think it was never really something that I watched, you know, behind closed doors or anything like that. I've always watched it since I was a kid. Boys and Girls Club was a big one in my youth as well, and there was a TV there, and we would all, while we were doing our homework, turn it on. And I've always watched anime with my friends, you know, all growing up, all through college. It was just something that here recently with starting my podcast and everything, there's a lot more good anime out there, and it's more mainstream now. And with moving to Texas and not necessarily being close to my circle, close to that group, and we still talk, but each of us have our own lives. We have kids that pull us in different directions, jobs that pull us in different directions. Wanting to create a community, just a community of people who I could talk with anime about. And I've been introduced to people from all over the world. Probably one of the more faithful listeners that I have to the podcast is a guy in France.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I've met a couple of people from Australia who some are in different levels of their journey with anime and manga. And people from all over the US. If I wouldn't have taken that step and put myself out there that, you know, hey, I love anime, I love manga, TV, movies, I would never have met these people, and I wouldn't have people to talk with, people to recommend me stuff. Getting into slice of life anime is something that's new for me, and it came off of recommendations. There's another anime podcast, Anime DJ, and one of the hosts is really into the slice of life anime, and I asked for a recommendation, and he gave me Apothecary Diaries.
Okay.
And I watched it. It was sort of a binge watch. I think it took about a week or two. I watched all 24 episodes of the first season, and me and him are gonna get together and talk about it.
That's dope.
Yeah,
and I've write that one down.
Yeah, I've never really been into Slice of life anime, and I don't really think Apothecary Diaries would necessarily fall into slice of life anime. It's more mystery. So,
Oh,
and I think my next episode will probably be covering Apothecary Diaries, but it basically follows Mau Mau, who is an apothecary.
mm,
Sum it up. First episode, she was kidnapped and sold pretty much into, I mean, it's slavery, indentured servitude. She's paid for it. She kind of has a little bit of autonomy, but she's sold
right.
into that, and she displays her skills as an apothecary, with
Mm,
becoming a poison taster and solving different mysteries around the castle. Yeah, and
oh,
she kind of rises to prominence because she helps all of these prominent people with their issues through her skills as an apothecary.
mm,
And I mean, she's solving mysteries from like who tried to poison this concubine to saving one of the concubine's life and the life of her child,
mm,
solving murder mystery, foiling an assassination plot against a noble. Um,
damn.
and so it's one of those that I probably, on my own, I would have never given a chance.
Mm,
But, with reaching into this space and seeing that there are a lot of people who actually watch those types of animes. And so asking for a recommendation, I got that one and I watched it and I loved it.
mm.
Season 2 is coming out next year and I'm hyped.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, and so it's different. I would say it falls probably into that mystery drama category.
Mm.
And so
Alright.
yeah, if you like a good procedural mystery show, then you would probably like Apothecary Diaries.
Would you say it's like medieval kind of case closed?
I'm not sure of the time frame, but I believe it takes place in maybe feudal Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, I definitely want to, man, because I love case closed. And to me, that sounds really similar, you know what I mean? It's not really
Yeah.
super action packed, but it's not necessarily a slice of life. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to check it out for sure.
Yeah, it's worth a watch, and let me know what you think about it.
Of course.
And it's one where I'm sort of expanding my horizons on anime, and so I mean I've been shonen anime heavy. There's been a few outside of it, like a Death Note. I don't know. I don't necessarily think Berserk is considered sort of a shonen, but anime like that, and so with sort of joining the anime community on Threads and getting different recommendations, and so there's a couple that I'm gonna check out here in the future and probably do reviews on and see if it's something that I like.
Mm. Yeah, dude, if you definitely have anything, definitely send them out. You can hit me up anytime, send them my way. I might even hit you up and be like, hey, you heard about this? Like, is this good? You know what I mean? But and speaking of Threads, man, I don't have much success on Threads. I'm still getting used to it, man. But I found you because you posted it and someone else had responded to you, and I saw you. So definitely, yeah, I think that's really cool, to be honest. So I'll keep using Thread.
Threads is slowly becoming my favorite social media.
Mm.
I mean, with Twitter, X, it's kind of out there. It's like you can't open it without, crazy ads or porn pop.
Yeah.
And so I'm at the point where I believe I'm gonna delete it. And,
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Threads first became a thing. On my personal account, I set up an account with Thread. I just never, at that time, I don't think a lot of people were on it. The communities weren't built, there weren't hashtags yet. And when I started up the Instagram for the podcast, somebody gave a recommendation to join Thread. And so I did. An anime community, the content creator, YouTube, podcast, all of those communities are great. I feel like it's just more positive. I know they've added monetization to it here recently, but I don't think it will impact the experience. It hasn't so far. It connected us, and it's connected me to a bunch of cool people who I probably never would have found before. But Threads is slowly becoming my favorite social media.
It's crazy you kind of mentioned that last part where before it is your favorite, because I think about it like back in the day, like, you know, you walk up to someone, you might be doing something, and you're like, oh, you talk about what you got in common. You just walk up to someone random. And nowadays, that scene is more like, well, you're weird, so like, I don't know you. I feel like threads, things like that, social media, it's kind of like that newer, let me come up and talk to you quick because we got a little bit in common. You know what I mean? Make some connections. I struggle with networking, man. I'm just not the best at it, you know, to be honest. I'm trying to get better. That's why I have a manager. But yeah, I'm still trying to learn like any type of ways, you know, of networking, or even just making genuine connections, man. I'm all about it.
The different communities on threads that I've found have been great. The anime community is great. I've gotten a bunch of recommendations. I've met some people who I'm going to collab with here in the future.
Amazing.
Where I'm going to be guests on their shows. They're going to be guests on my shows. The post that you were speaking of specifically is I wanted to reach out and just see who was interested in talking about, you know, whatever they were fans of, their artistry, anime, TV, music, anything, because I feel like it's something that I haven't really seen anyone else do. You know, try to go after certain creators in the space and speak with them to try to grow their audience, you know, by being seen by their audience. But for me, and even starting my podcast, it was never about, you know, having this huge, massive audience or, you know, becoming a social media influencer or anything. It was to give me an avenue to talk about things that I love. I love anime. I love manga. I love TV, movies, music. I'm not a dancer, but my best friend is. I've been his hype man since we were kids. And so I love to see other people who are dancers. And so I thought that was cool when I saw your page and saw you were a b-boy, and I was like,
appreciate it.
You know, he's checking off, you know, a bunch of the boxes of things that I love. And yeah, we definitely got to connect.
Oh, of course.
But I definitely think that that's one thing that in meeting people and growing an audience, if it grows, that's not really my goal. My goal is to, you know, find a community, talk about the things that I love. If I happen to meet a bunch of people who like the things that I love as well, and we can get together and, you know, geek out about them, be nerds about it, cool. And that was my primary goal. Yeah.
I think that's an amazing goal, man, because, like, you know, they say word of mouth is still one of the best, like, forms of advertisement. And even right now, like, I know how much I love anime, but I know how much I don't love anime compared to other people. And I'm already thinking off about one or two of my homies at least that are just as passionate as me and you are about what they do music-wise and whatever, but they know so much more than I do about anime that I think will be a good fit. I know I could think of one guy in particular, and if you ever had any more time in the future, that fool knows anime. He's crazy with it.
Yeah, send them my way, man.
Of course.
I'm always looking for new anime or new mangas to read. A manga that I picked up here recently, which I'm letting a few chapters build up before I dive in, was The Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know if you read manga a lot, but it's a new one. And it follows this exorcist who they consider the greatest exorcist to ever come. And he was like, he just worked his butt off and became the best. But he doesn't actually like exorcising demons.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's one of those where he doesn't like doing it. He's actually scared of them, and he puts on this facade. And that's how you meet him. You meet him, and he is in the middle of this exorcism, and he has this cool face on. It's a straight face. The demon is trying everything to scare him, to get him to go away, everything. And he has this straight face on. Then it cuts to his inner monologue, and like, he is terrified. He doesn't know why he's here. And the demon just gets tired and pops into its form, and it's this dad, and he's like, I'm just here for work. You're making my work hard for me. I'm just trying to raise my son. they come to an agreement. He was like, well, look, you just go back. I won't exercise you. Where a demon lord pops up because he just realizes somebody's not doing their job. You get to see just how badass he is.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta shake it through.
Yeah, at first he's scared, but then this demon lord that pops up tries to harm the demon that he just became friends with, and he's like, no, this yeah, like, you're not finna harm this guy who's just trying to take care of his family.
Yeah,
and,
that's tight.
It's one, it has potential. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or so they announce that they're gonna make an anime.
That thing's dope. And what's that one called?
The Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. I can send you a link to it.
Yeah, definitely. It might be because I do want to kind of get into manga, like just to kind of to take the time to kind of breathe and relax from my day to day, even if I'm not really into it. I just it's finding that hook is that first thing, but I do like that. It kind of flips it on the head. You know what I mean? Where that vulnerability.
For me, manga is that it's sort of an escape. I generally will read manga on my lunch break at work.
Oh, nice.
If at night while I'm putting the kids to bed, I'll read it while they're laying there, and it's something to kind of take my mind off of things and take me away. And I get to experience something new, and so I'm always looking for something new. I'm not gonna say that I'm just the most avid manga reader ever. I generally do it when I have those breaks in time, or that time when I'm trying to take my mind off of work, or wind down for the day, or if I'm traveling, I'll read it on the plane, or wherever, sitting in the airport, and I'll try to pick up new series. I have a to be read list, and Sakamoto Days was one that was highly recommended. Kagurabachi is one that was recommended. Actually, reading Kaiju number 8, and then Go-Go Loser Ranger was an anime that came out, and a bunch of people recommended to check out the manga because in the anime they cut a lot out.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch on my to be read list. But yeah, it was my first manga. Actually, I got into manga through Bleach. And
okay.
When Bleach ended back in 2009, I was like, this can't be the end. There's more to this story. They didn't just cut it off right here. And so I found the manga, and I think it was right at the start of the 1,000-Year Blood War. And I read through it and caught up to the ending. I was hooked. It was rushed a little bit, and but it didn't take away the enjoyment, and I like that in the anime now they're filling in some of those gaps that Kubo wasn't able to do when he was writing, because when he was writing, they put him on a deadline. It's like, this needs to end by this chapter, and it was like the 700th chapter or something like that, and so the ending was rushed, and there's a lot of storylines that aren't finished. He stated that he's gonna tie up in the anime.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I know, I thought it was cool. I don't know if this is true. I know someone back in the day told me that another part of the reason why he kind of hurried up with it before was because I think it was one of the number one fans was dying or something like that, and he was trying to finish the arc. I don't know if that's true, but I have heard before, the little lines and things, loose ends not being tied up. I have heard that before.
Yeah, I believe it was in this second core of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. They showed some Bankai, and the Bankai of I think it's Shinji. It's the leader of the Visors. They showed his Bankai, and in the manga, he starts a fight and you never see it conclude. You see him later on, but you never see his fight. And there's a couple of fights that are like that in the manga where you don't see the end of them, and they're with fan favorite characters. And so I believe they're gonna do it right, and they're gonna animate these additional scenes so that you're not left with these plot holes.
Oh yeah, I hope so, because I was Year Blood War, 1,000-Year Blood War came out. I'm not the biggest Bleach fan, but I love Orange Range a lot, and I love Asterisk, that song.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. On my PSP in middle school, I had that song all day. But I think the animation, I don't know, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite, but the animation in the 1,000-Year Blood War is some of the best, just like even a normal scene, some of the best like drawing and animation I've seen. And so I always like want to go out and check it. But I do know there was a squad, was it Zero Squad?
Yeah.
They were like the strongest dudes, and I guess the reasoning for them losing, wasn't it like they were too powerful to even start fighting? It was like if they had started fighting, they were just blow shit up anyway. So
yeah, that was one, because in the manga it all happens off scene. Like all of their fights, their deaths, everything happened off scene. And so with this last core of Bleach, they end up animating it and showing their fight, and it was amazing. It was blown away, and I'm excited for this next core, because in this next core, they said that each episode is getting the movie studio treatment, and so animation for each episode is going to be top tier. I'm super excited about that, and I believe that they're the reason that a lot of these other anime studios are stepping up their game.
Oh, probably.
He kind of forcing people to with theirs, but then when Bleach came out and every episode was top notch, high quality, I believe everybody else took a look and like, why can't y'all do this?
Oh yeah. That's probably what Elden Ring was to the Western AAA game things. You know what I mean? Like, why can't, Bleach is amazing because I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Bleach other than like filler. No, to people who've actually seen Bleach, you can say all you want about Naruto, you can say all you want about Dragon Ball, but the people who've actually seen Bleach, whether they're fans or not, they never say anything bad about it. But I also feel like kind of like a fake person if I just hop into the Blood War. So I feel like unless I start from the beginning and watch it all the way through, do I deserve to watch the Blood War? You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it.
There's some people out there who they created an episode list that you can skip around. And so you can kind of skip over all of the filler and, sort of kind of watch it abridged. If you look, there's a couple on like Reddit and everything. It'll give you a list of episodes you can skip and make it a little bit easier.
I heard Bleach is the one, as opposed to Naruto or One Piece, where the filler actually does kind of matter more. It ties in a little bit more with Bleach, I've heard, than it does One Piece.
Fills in some holes. I would say one of the better arcs in Bleach is actually filler. There's the Zanbakuto arc. It's a completely filler arc, but it's basically the Soul Reapers end up taking on their Zanbakuto. And in my opinion, it's one of Bleach's better arcs.
Okay. I think the last thing I remember from Bleach is when, because Bleach, they have a lot of German and Spanish words, right? Yeah, you have a group of all the Spanish people, the captains or whatever, they have like the metal, not the metal, the bone. Yeah, they got the bone faces and stuff. And I remember Ichigo was getting trained he was on the kind of treadmill thing like that. And the last thing I saw in Bleach, the last thing I ever saw. And even then I skipped around with that.
You're referring to the visors, and it was Bleach is one of those interesting ones because you can tell it was supposed to end at certain points. Like you could tell that after the Espada arc, it was supposed to end. But it continued, and it was just that arc that continued it wasn't that great. But then they went into the Zanbakuto arc, and it was good, and then it went into the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, which was great.
The last thing I saw in the 1,000 Blood War, everyone's seen where the old dude, he has those fire zombie skeleton. Everyone's seen that one. The last thing I saw, it was when the Quincy's, the leader of the Quincy's, the dude that Ichigo has inside of him, you know what I mean?
Little Quincy Jesus.
he could be Jeevic, right? He became this like the English guy, the English community, like Russell Brand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so he Russell Brand with a mustache. But the last thing I saw was all the Quincy's, they attacked, I forgot what it was, and there was like 2 girls, and all the Quincy's, they were lining up people and killing them. And it was like there was a bunch of girls who were like a really strong team, and they ended up dying. They ended up getting their ass beat. That was the last thing I saw.
That was in Waco Mundo, right before they invaded the Soul Society.
Waco Mundo, yeah, they kept saying Waco Mundo, yeah. And I remember there's one girl, she was like, she was really strong, and they had her pinned up and stuff like that. I always feel like a fake anime fan because there's a lot of the big, whatever, the threes of the time, I just didn't really care about it, you know what I mean? I've always had that kind of like hipster, like, oh, everyone loves Demon Slayer. That's kind of why. What pissed me off about Demon Slayer, man, was I went to the theater, I was so into Demon Slayer. I was like, yeah, they got the animation, talking on the heartstrings. The story could use some work anime-wise, but the fights, were great, man. But then I went and saw the second movie in the theaters, and it was just a recap of season 2. They recapped it like 3 times, and then he walked to the Sword Village, and that was it. And I was like, bro, I'm done with Demon Slayer. That shit pissed me off, man.
Yeah, that's what scares me about them ending it on 3 movies. Is I'm scared it's just gonna be a money grab.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that they're gonna take 3 years to tell this story, and they're gonna release it in movies, and then chop the movie up into, 8 episodes, 6 episodes, whatever they chop it up into, and make us wait forever to finish the story.
Stranger Things. So it is. I don't know how I feel about that, because it wasn't like I was not gonna return to Demon Slayer. I was like, I'm just gonna let the hype on. I was really waiting for the blind guy to get in. Is he blind? The Stone Hashira?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for him to get there. Okay. And I told myself I wouldn't really pick it up again until he came into it. My boy, the one I was telling you about, he has like all the mangas, and he was telling me about all of them. Hey, I don't want to tell you any spoilers, but I was like, damn, But
yeah,
I know it's gonna get good.
This past season, the finale, it was amazing. It was probably one of the best episodes of anime I've ever watched.
Damn.
I mean, the animation from start to finish, the action, the story from start to finish, the cliffhanger it left you on, the storylines that it started in that finale, it was perfect. And it's reflected like that. I think it's like the highest rated anime episode ever.
I mean, I don't know. I think, Goku versus Frieza probably. No, I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The times has changed. You know what I mean? Because it's like Dragon Ball, unfortunately, just if you put Dragon Ball anywhere it is now, even with newer animation like they did with Kai, I could put a bit more story. It's just not good. Times have changed. Things are different now. Which does suck, but also it kind of like, I don't want to become a boomer in anime. And that's why I kind of force myself, and I end up doing these things, you know what I mean? There's just so many anime that I've met where it's like the first 3 episodes are slow, and it maybe gets good, and that was kind of turning me off.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Naruto? Do you feel like it should have ended for the pain art? Or do you feel like them going on to the 4th war was kind of a better move?
I feel like the 4th Ninja War was dragged on. It was getting to a point where, okay, this could have been a good ending. And then, they pull something else out. And then it gets to another point where it's like, okay, this could have been a good ending. And then they pull something else out. And then, getting closer to the end, and they defeat Kaguya. And it's like, okay, story over. No, for whatever reason, Sasuke wants to be the bad guy. And they end up fighting and losing their arms over nothing. Like, none of that had to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like them telling the story of the 4th Great Ninja War, it was good, and it had opportunity to end. I enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it. But I did feel like it dragged on for a little. Yeah.
I think, because like at the end of the Pain arc, right, they kind of do the Dragon Ball thing, and everyone comes back. Pain's done. He does a little talking no jutsu, and Akapo's like, oh, my bad, and then Pain dies or whatever. But I felt like a greater, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I feel like the greater thing would have been the fourth Ninja War happening kind of like before they could recover. Maybe, bring everybody back, but obviously the city still, you know what I mean? So you did it, right? I think that would have been a way more impactful, because it's like, damn, Land of the Fire, like the Leaf Village was like basically the USA. People say whatever, they have these different powers. Okay, now they're not so strong anymore. Now it's like they're trying to not win, they're trying to survive. I think that would have been a better thing. And I think it would have led to the same thing, no arms, Sasuke still being emotional. Like, I think it could evolve just the same stuff for sure.
Yeah, and I'm real big on world building and lore and payoffs with that world building. And you get introduced to all of these other villages in Naruto. Outside of the 5 great villages, there's all these other small villages, and you don't get anything from them outside of the random missions that they go on. But it's like, if this is a great ninja war, there's no way that these smaller villages wouldn't have been able to be involved. And we see it, like, what was it? There was the village hidden in the mist. And I think there was one like in the rain or ice or something like that. But you get all these villages that have all these specialized jutsus that would be useful in a war, but you don't see them.
Yeah. Probably just the product of creating a world that was too grand. You know, Toriyama was really famous, as you know. He was really infamous for forgetting stuff. You know what I mean? Changing whole attributes.
And I feel like with One Piece, that's what make Oda so great. I'm not sure if you watched One Piece or read One Piece all the way through, but he foreshadowed what's happening now way back in like the early chapters. And it's not like, some crazy pull this obscure thing, and it's like, no, everything was building up to this, and he was dropping little hints here and there, a picture here and there, a story, a character, power, this artifact, and now he's tying it all in, and it's blowing everybody's mind that 20 years ago he put this in the story, and now it's important. Like Luffy's Gear 5 and the Sun God Nika, and it was introduced in Skypiea, and 20 years ago, and just the different things with the pictures of the different elders that were shown early on, and they were alluded to early on, and these characters who were introduced early on who will play a vital role in the end game of One Piece. It's like masterful storytelling that, like, I don't think we'll ever see it again. The closest thing that I feel like has come to it, in my opinion, is Tower of God.
Really?
Yeah, Tower of God. It's 600 chapters deep, and it's some of the same elements where things in the very beginning that were introduced, characters that were introduced, are relevant now. And it's the small little thing that if you didn't pay attention to it, you missed, but then it's brought up and you're like, wait, that was in chapter 50, or whatever it might be. And as far as like the world building and lore and everything, it is it's probably the closest that I've seen to One Piece.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. So I always get Tower of God mixed up with God of High School, because I don't recognize any of these people. I have heard of Tower of God before, though.
Yeah. Tower of God is another good read. If you want something to read, it's a easy read, it's a quick read. It's a different art style, but it's one of those sort of like Kubo with Bleach. The artist grows as an artist as time progresses. His art gets significantly better as the story progresses.
I like how you brought up about artists or even just authors who are like that, because I was watching this report like there's certain American horror movies who like cult classics. People just they keep to this day speculating, theorizing, being the Thing being one of them. Anything Stanley Kubrick has done. I forgot who directed The Thing or wrote it, but I give a lot of for people. I know how hard it is to create one idea, relates only to itself, doesn't tie in with anything else. For it to be widely accepted and loved, that's so hard. And they're doing things like you said over decades, over generations of people, and it's all making sense. It's very inspirational. And I probably wouldn't have noticed if you didn't even mention it. Because now I kind of do want to start reading some manga. I mean, I told myself I wouldn't start reading manga until I got like all of the hard copies of Berserk and read that for the first time. But there's so much going on that honestly I've been a boomer about, just closed-minded, you know what I mean? Kind of thinking, 20 years ago anime was better, you know?
Yeah. I understand why people think that, and I always tell people, man, go into it with an open mind. Just go into it. It's sort of like me with some of the slice of life, sort of non-shonen anime. It was like, that's boring. There's nobody fighting. There's no action. There's no powers. I'm not gonna like that. And then I've watched 2 or 3, and I've actually enjoyed it. It was the same thing with manga, really. When Bleach ended, when the anime originally ended, and I discovered that, this was a manga, it was a comic. They need to hurry up and animate this. I didn't initially pick it up, and then once I found out that, like, no, they're not going to animate it, I just picked it up and started reading it. And before I knew it, I had caught up to where the weekly releases were. And so I went back to the very beginning and read it from the very beginning through. Man, I think I may have done it over the span of like 3 or 4 weeks.
Damn.
And and I've been a fan since. I did the same thing with One Piece.
That's a lot of reading.
Yeah, I picked up One Piece. I think at the time there may have been about 600 or so chapters out. And it was because I had caught up to the anime and I didn't feel like waiting. And so I read ahead, but the anime and the manga, they're maybe 30 chapters apart. And so I started over and read from the beginning. And I'll tend to do that if it's a anime that I end up picking up, that I'll read, to a certain point, but I'll end up catching up to where the weekly releases are. And so I'll start over and start from the beginning. That kind of discipline and consistency, man. I've been trying to capture that. I mean, I know you're just reading manga. Some people who don't know, you're just reading cartoons, whatever. But like, there is that sort of consistency and dedication that you have for something that I try to, that I see in anime. They're one of the best things I love about these characters is their consistency and their dedication against the odds, right? Obviously we're in real life, but I'm trying to capture that into my own music as well. And so I'm definitely, emphasis is the right word, but I appreciate that about you, because I'm trying to become that, that consistency. I'm talking to you, you have more of a mature air about you, you're a family man, a father. And so, I just want to say I'm glad that you did take a chance to interview me, because I'm getting inspired just by this little talk that we have, you know what I mean? Like, I truly do mean that it has inspired my music, especially to keep going, man, because starting out, it gets hard, you start doubting yourself. And I can say that even with this podcast, I had created the Instagram, I had the microphone, I do photography, so I have a camera, and man, it probably took me still 3 months before I was just like, and it was kind of funny because Kaiju number 8 was one of the reasons that I just went ahead and did it. Because I was like, I need to learn how to edit. I need to learn how to, adjust audio. I need to learn how to do this. I need to learn how to do that. I need to learn how to write script. I need to learn how to speak into the camera. And it was always going to be I need to do this. I need to learn that. I need to do this. And watching Kafka, from the main character from Kaiju number 8, just take that leap and do it. And so that's what I did with my first episode. I just came up to the office, cut the lights on, cut the camera on, and recorded. I had like a basic outline and I just recorded. I think it was my second episode. It was with the guys from Blurred Minds Productions, and I spoke with them, and those guys are some really cool guys, and they did the same thing, and it was some of the same advice with talking to them of you just need to get started. Whatever you're doing, whether it's writing, podcasting, making music, just need to do it. You know, you will never achieve your dream or achieve your goal if you don't start.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so for me, that was the biggest thing, just starting. But then not only starting, staying consistent. Because, I mean, I could come up with every excuse. You know, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. They take up a lot of time. The time that I would normally use to record, if I look up and get them to sleep by 8:30, you know, that'll give me some time after that to record. If not, you know, it's 10 o'clock, or it's taking time, you know, from the weekend to maybe try to record. And, you know, you can create every excuse of, oh, well, you know, the kids didn't go to bed until 9:30, or, you know, I'm playing with them this weekend. We got to go do this, or, you know, I got to be up early for work. But it's like, you find joy in whatever it is, whatever art you create, and you pursue it. Don't let yourself make excuses. Just do it. You know, you'll pick up the skills later. I'm still learning how to edit. I'm still learning how to work with audio. I'm still, you know, learning what softwares to use. I've switched softwares twice now, and it's really just doing it. And you'll pick up the experience after.
Yeah, you definitely bring up a great point, and I want to touch some similarities between what you and I do, because there's this guy, you know, I don't know his real name or his artist name. I just know on Threads is Gosh Father, Threads and IG. I don't know the guy, I'll never talk to him. But he's always posting stuff to help out people who are always talking about, like, for artists, it's like, man, I just want to make music. I got to do marketing, and I got to IG, and I got to make these little videos and do like this with my music. And he's like, he's basically, his whole thing, besides his own artistry, is about how people basically, they won't shut up, they won't do it. And there's people who don't care, who aren't nervous, who aren't even as good making it because they're just doing it. And people who, you know, who care a lot, who are trying to chase perfection, aren't putting themselves out there, leading to more frustration. And that's something that I've been trying to do, especially being a full-time student, is like, well, just keep it going, you know what I mean? Like, I can sit here and complain about, oh, I'm not ready, I don't have the best camera, I don't have the best skills and all that. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, just put yourself out there and do it. And man, even just doing it for like a month, man, I'm seeing a whole different turnaround, you know what I mean? Not online, my online engagement's still weird, but in person, you know what I mean? Just getting out there and doing it, I'm seeing a lot of success in person
here. And I would say the same. I mean, even from 2 weeks ago, the skills that I have with editing, recording, with even just reaching out to people, because like that was my thing too. It was like, man, I need to perfect this before I reach out and invite somebody. But kind of like you and a couple of other people who responded, the guys from Blurred Minds Productions, it's like, you know, this is interesting. What they were doing was interesting, and we got on and we had a really great conversation. If you guys want to check that interview out, you check it out on YouTube or, you know, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Same here, you know, finding someone who makes music, who DJs. Anime has a big influence on not only their music, but their life in general. I feel like, let me talk to that person and let me see. I feel like it's a medium that can connect a lot of people just through these fictional stories, you know, with some people, like you said, you know, this cartoon or this comic book or whatever it may be, and you find out that you have more in common with these people who you probably in some situation would have never paid attention to.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And we touched bases on that before. Seeing it so perfectly. Growing up, a lot of my friends outside of my family were non-Black because of the things I was into. And at that time, 20 years ago, I mean, obviously, Black people been living anime since forever, but back then you were clowned for it a lot more than you were, praised for it, which is no big deal. But so I've always, like you said, been bridging gaps with other cultures off of one similarity, being anime or music or whatever. And man, I think that's also why anime has such a tie into my life as well. I'm not the most knowledgeable fan. I don't know all the animes out there, but I'll tell you one thing, I love anime as much as the next guy, you know what I mean? And so I'm thankful,
It's cool, man. And I'd say the same. I've been connected with people from Australia and France and, the other side of the US who I would have never have met before. I probably would have never have spoken to, even if I would have met them. Just for our love of anime. Like, today, randomly started a conversation. Guy from Australia, Taku Down Under. He's a new content creator. Yeah, really new to sort of the anime manga space. And he to document his journey with discovering anime, with discovering manga. And we just kind of started a conversation, and we've been chatting back and forth. He's been telling me about his process, and kind of the same. He's recording on his iPhone, and he doesn't have a fancy camera. He's not necessarily using, the top of the line recording software to edit. It's really more, he wants to vlog his journey through anime.
I think that's amazing.
I guess to sort of get to wrap up,
Okay.
If you had to go back and watch or read any anime or manga series for the first time, what would it be?
For the first time, man, I think with the stage of life that I am in now, and not who I was when I first found anime or when I was younger, I would have to say Berserk. Just because when I think of Berserk, to me, that just, unless things change in the future, that is just a man who, like I said, everything is counting against him, and he just keeps trying, and it falls down, and he keeps trying, and his whole thing is about just like whittling his way through all these different circumstances. He's not the best fighter, he's not the strongest, but he has that type of like undeniable, like what they call Naruto, fire will. You know what I mean? Like that kind of, and you see that especially as a young man having that, just like, damn, dude, like nothing's gonna stop me. He be Berserk.
That's a good. I feel like with Berserk, that's one where when people read it, yeah, you can watch the animes and things, but when people read it, that it like, I'm not gonna, maybe life changing is the right word, where it's like, eye opening, I guess. It's a good.
Sure. Well, I don't mean to, but yeah, Berserk is more of a relation. Eye opening, which is more totally involved because of the Jiren arc, because that's what I needed at that time. You know what I mean?
If you had to give yourself a top 5 anime, what would it be?
So off the top, we already said the whole Dragon Ball, all the series, Berserk, Samurai Champloo. I'm kind of basic. Naruto. I'm kind of a basic person. And the fourth one, man, honestly, JJK. Because I like how the main character in that one, I always forget his name, but the main character in that one, he was not knowing where he descended from. He just knew he was a regular person at that time. He still took his face into the danger of the demon to protect someone. And I wanted to be that kind of like a father figure husband, that first line of defense between who I care about. You know what I mean? So
I'd say that's a good top 5. I've never been one to like judge people on what they have watched, what they hadn't watched, whether they watch subbed or dubbed. I always tell people, enjoy it how you want to enjoy it. It's your preference. If you don't like a certain thing, that's for nobody else to judge. If you hadn't watched a certain show, oh well. I mean, I think those are like the purists who like oh, you call yourself an anime fan, but you hadn't watched this, or you call yourself an anime fan, but you only watch dubbed anime. Yeah, it's like, whatever. Let people enjoy the medium how they choose to enjoy the medium.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess to close us out, man, can you plug your social medias and the booking information where people can find you?
Yeah, Instagram is the best way. My Instagram is NoEyes, like NoEyes, .mega, NEGA. My SoundCloud is NoEyes_mega. I am on Spotify, it's just NoEyes. But because of sampling, all my stuff is on SoundCloud. And then that's pretty much it. If you want to do any type of booking, anybody, my email is noeyesallcries@gmail.com. So that'd be it.
Cool. Thank you for coming on, man. And
Thanks for having me.
hopefully after you check out some of those recommendations, maybe we can get you back and get your thoughts on them.
I'm gonna read some manga before I have more to put on the manga side.
Cool, man. Cool. So again, thank y'all for joining us on another episode of the Side Quest Hustle. You can find us on the Side Quest Hustle on all social medias and all streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you consume your podcast. And this is us tuning out. We'll see you again next week.
It's about time. Ooh.